I was a big Whitney Houston fan as a child, but I didn't fall out of love with her. I just kind of moved on to other artists as I got older and my music taste changed. But now that I've become an adult, my love for Whitney, I've rediscovered it, and I've been really getting back into her performances, her music, and her films and stuff like that. And so these next few podcasts I'm going to make are going to be in a series about Whitney Houston, her music, her performances, her films, and just about her in general, because she is one of my favorite artists, and I just want to really talk about her now that I've rediscovered my passion for her. The first thing I want to talk about is actually her sophomore album, the Whitney album that came out in 1987. I started listening to it back around the 4th of July. I got really back into it. The reason why I wanted to start off the podcast series with this album is because this album is considered one of Whitney's weakest. It was considered to be too pop, too much of a cheesy 80s sound, and Whitney was accused of sounding white on this album. And I sort of agree with his complaints, but I sort of don't. For me, I don't feel this is one of Whitney's weakest albums. I actually feel like it's one of her stronger albums. It's just a strong album in general. There's a lot of great songs on here. Um, as far as her sounding white, I don't think she sounds white. Yeah, her sounds more pop, but I wouldn't say that she sounds white. It's just more. It's kind of like a more of a refined sound. She's not going all over the place with crazy runs and high notes and just over singing, which is what we normally associate with a lot of black female singers. Whitney and well, just black singers in general. And Whitney doesn't even do that during her live performances. Whitney never did too much. She always gave you just what you needed during the performance, even when you didn't think you know what needed was possible. So I never thought Whitney was being an over singer, even though I know she's been accused of that in the past. For the cheesy 80s sound, yeah, there are some songs in here that sound a bit like the cheesy 80s sounds, like especially Loves the Contact Sports. That's one of my least favorite songs on this album. Um, and I did when I was going to listen to this album again, I was afraid that this album was going to sound too dated, and I wasn't going to like it because of that. But um, for the most part, not really. I think this album's aged quite well. Besides the aforementioned "Love Is a Contact Sport," "Love Will Save the Day," and I believe "So Emotional." Those do kind of have a dated '80s sound as well, but they're still really good. They're still really enjoyable. They don't. I feel like those songs, they "Love Will Save the Day" and "So Emotional." I feel like those songs could come out today with minor to no tweaking at all, and they could still sound fresh and still sound good. It's not like other '80s albums that I've heard. I won't name them because I don't want to start anything with any other fan bases for other artists. But there are other '80s albums by other artists. Those sound really dated and bad. I can't imagine how they were even successful back then, let alone now. But no, for the Whitney album, yeah, there's a few minor things that sound dated. Just one song especially, and loves the contact sport. But overall, I think this album still holds up pretty well. Now onto the songs themselves. Um, my favorite song of this album is probably the "I Know Him So Well" duet that Whitney does with her mom. It has this very orchestral pop sound I think is really good, and both women give great vocal performances. I knew both of them were going to bring it because Sissy. I mean, we all know that Whitney's a great singer, but before Whitney, there was Sissy. She's a famous backup singer for many big artists. Like she did the high notes, the amazing high notes on Aretha Franklin's "Ain't No Way," and she also did backup for Elvis and other artists as well. And I think people they underestimate how good a singer she is because of Whitney All the Glory. But Sissy is actually a really good singer in her own right, so I wasn't surprised that she was able to keep up with Whitney in this song. But yeah, I just really love the vocal performance from both women. It's also a good song to cover. Maybe a little bit creepy because his mother and daughter sing the song about having an affair with the same man and how they've come to know him and his quirks and stuff like that. So maybe that's a little bit off. But otherwise, I thought it was a great song and for them to cover. The song's originally from the Chess Broadway play. Um, the other covers on this album are also pretty good as well. Just the Lonely Talking Again. That's another one of my favorite songs on this album. Whitney did a really good job on that song. She sounds very smooth and seductive for most of the song, as she's pleased for this guy to tell her what's up, what's true. Does he really want to be with her this time, or is it just a lonely talking again, or well, just a horny talking again? We should say. I mean, we're all adults here, so it's really that's what this is. He's treating her like she's just basically a jump off, his side piece. That's all she is to him. And Whitney actually has quite a few songs like that, which I'm surprised. We'll get into that more when we go to her other albums. But yeah, about the first half of the song is very smooth, seductive, and sexy. But then when you get to the climax, Whitney just releases all these amazing, gritty, kind of darker sounding belts, and she just sounds amazing doing that. So yeah, this is another one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites on this album is also another cover. It's For the Love of You, and that's a song originally by the Isley Brothers. Whitney does a great job of covering this, and again, she sounds very sexy and smooth and seductive for most of this song. And one of the complaints I heard about Whitney was she wasn't very sexy. She didn't sell sex. She didn't know how to sell sex. And I'm sorry, but songs like For the Love of You and Just a Lonely Talking Again and some other songs from other albums as well, they all disprove that she doesn't know how to sell sex or be sexy. She didn't want to sell sex. She didn't want to be a sex symbol, or at least that's the feeling I got. She wanted to be a sex symbol like Janet or Madonna or any other pop girls who were around at the time. She wanted to be a serious, classy singer, which is why you always saw her wearing these elegant gowns, and you saw her just showing her voice really. She didn't really sex it up too much because that just wasn't really her style. But anywho, back to her cover For the Love of You. Again, this song was very smooth and sexy and seductive. Whitney stays in her mid to high range for most of this song, and her vocals are just gorgeous. She keeps the belt to a minimum on this song, which is another slap in the face to all her haters who said all she couldn't do was belt. She's more than just a belter. She could do plenty more than that. And again, her voice sounds different than this song. Her tone is sweeter and more girlish than it would normally be, even during this time period when her voice was higher pitched and more girlish. It was a very beautiful cover. Love this song to death. Whitney did a really good job. I read that it was supposed to be released as a single. I think, yeah, this song, a lot of the songs on this album, I kind of wish got released as singles instead of the two ballads they did. I If I had my druthers, I would have replaced Where Do Broken Hearts Go and Didn't We Almost Have It All with Just a Lonely Talking Again and For the Love of You as singles, or maybe Just a Lonely Talking Again and I Know Him So Well, because all three of those ballads are dynamite, and I'll take them over Didn't We Almost Have It All and Where Do Broken Hearts Go. Another ballad on here that I really love is You're Still My Man. Um, it's pretty gorgeous. It's a gorgeous song to me, and I guess it does like Whitney's voice is kind of like the first half. It reminds me of what Whitney said about when her mom taught her how to sing. You have to tell a story. You just can't start off powerful. You have to start off, you know, soft and slow, and then build up to the big climax. And that's kind of the formula I see in her a lot of her songs, and that's what this song definitely is. It starts off slow and smooth when Whitney sings out, you're still my man. And then when it gets to the climax, she really explodes. I'm not going to do that because I can't keep up with Whitney, the voice Houston, and I don't want to embarrass myself on my own podcast. But yeah, she really gets going, and that's another one of my favorite songs. I love You're Still My Man. Whitney's vocal performance, like most of her songs, is the highlight of the song. Like it's not the production or the lyrics that sells Whitney's songs, it's her voice. That's why they call her the voice, as we all know. Um, yeah, I just think most of the ballads on this album are really good. The only one I didn't really care for was Where You Are. It just sounded a little too cheesy and corny for me. Again, I guess if I had to say another song this album was dated, it would be this song as well. I can't believe Kashif, the same person who did the amazing You Give Good Love on the first album, I think he did Thinking About You Too, did this corny shit. It's just terrible. I wish this song had never made the album and they had done another one of the songs, like the outtakes, or they didn't make it. I wish they had replaced that one of those songs with this one. Cause this is Where You Are is my least favorite song on the album, followed by Loves the contact sport. We'll get into that one later. But at least with Loves the Contact Sport, I enjoy Whitney's vocal more than I enjoyed it on Where You Are. Her vocal performance on Where You Are isn't bad because, of course, it's Whitney. Even when she's bad, she's still good. But it just wasn't my favorite. Um, Now let's move on to the ballads that actually did get released as singles. Didn't We Almost Have It All was the first one. This song reminds me a lot of All at Once from her debut album. They sound very similar to me, and her vocal performance is very similar as well. Um, I don't hate this song, but I don't love it either. I mean, I like some of the. I like some of it. I mean, I like it overall, and I love some bits of it, like the parts where she goes, "We can take the night until tomorrow," and I love that part, and also for the second verse where she did a moment in the soul can last forever. I love those parts, and then we almost have it all. But for me, it feels like almost all at once is ugly little sister. Where did Broken Hearts go? I read that Whitney actually didn't like this song, and she didn't want to record it until Clive told her it's going to be her next number one. Um, Surprisingly, I'm more with Clive than Whitney on this song. I actually prefer Where Do Broken Hearts Go to Didn't We Almost Have It All. I feel it's a better song. I also like Whitney's vocal performance on this song more than I like it on Didn't We Almost Have It All. Um, it's, it's Where Do Broken Hearts Go is not Whitney's best song ever, but it's definitely the stronger of the singles, of the ballad singles, in my opinion. I do like it. And yeah, the lyrics are a bit corny and cheesy, but again, so are the lyrics for Didn't We Almost Have It All. But anywho. Now for the up tempos. Whitney did a lot more up tempos on this album than she did on the first one. I believe on the first one, the only ones that were up tempo were Someone for Me, Thinking About You, and How Will I Know, which was a big hit from the debut album. This one we've got I Want to Dance with Somebody, Love Will Save the Day, So Emotional, and Love's a Contact Sport. So yeah, that's well, I guess just one more, but it seemed like a lot more when I was listening to the album. Love is a contact sport. As I said before, it's the weakest up tempo and one of the weakest songs on the album. Um, I like the lyrics. Actually, they're surprisingly good. Because a lot of some of the lyrics in the songs are kind of cheesy and corny and trite and treacly, but these aren't too bad, especially when considering it came from the '80s. But the music, the production, it feels very like Wham, "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." That's what it sounds like to me, um, but with a heavier guitar sound, if you will. Whitney's vocal performance is what really makes this song. I love it, especially when she growls "slam," like the "slam." Like I know I didn't do any words well as she did. She killed it, but yeah, this is the weakest up tempo. If they had a stronger one, I wish they could have added on here and replaced it with this one. Um, Love Will Save the Day. This would be the next up tempo. Like for me, it's not weak, so I hate to call it weak, but I would say it's the next weakest up tempo after Love's a Contact Sport. I actually really like this song. When I first heard this album back when I was little, I didn't really like Love Will Save the Day or Love's a Contact Sport. And I still don't like Love's a Contact Sport, as I just said. But I actually like Love Will Save the Day now. It really caught on to me. Yeah, it's a little '80s sounding, but I love this. I love the beats, like the. I just love it. Whitney's vocal performance on this song is dynamite, especially when she belts out all the "Here's My Advice," and she does it even better live. In my opinion, I just love it. My honestly, my favorite vocal part for her is where she says, "Child, you ain't the first to experience the hurt." I don't know why, I just love that part. I go crazy every time she does that part. But yeah, I love this song. And it's actually has Whitney getting political for I think the first time in her career. I haven't listened to her debut album yet, but I don't believe there's any political songs on that album. And I believe Love will say that it's the first time Whitney's getting political and talk about things that actually matter in the world. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this song. I'm surprised it only went to number 9 on the charts. I thought it'd be a bigger hit, but it was the last single, and there's probably a stronger material at the time. So yeah, but I really enjoyed this song. Next up would be actually I can't decide whether or not I want to dance with somebody or So Emotional is stronger. So I'm just gonna say they're a tie, and I'll talk about So Emotional first. So Emotional is actually a departure from Whitney. Like, this is a very different song that she's ever done before. Like, there's nothing like on her first album, and there's nothing like on this album. This album combines pop, rock, and dance. And Whitney has this very gritty, growly vocal performance that was different from her. I mean, she's growled. We heard her growl before, especially live, but this time she really goes into it on this song, and it's also a very sexual song as well. I don't think we've heard Whitney get this sexual before. I think the closest we got was maybe Thinking About You, but it where her vocal performance very seductive and sexual, but the lyrics aren't as explicit as they are on this song. But yeah, Whitney just killed it. Love the vocal performance, love the lyrics, love the gritty pop rock dance sound that's very 80s but still sounds kind of fresh. I can see why this song went number 1 on the charts. It's a really good song. It was one of my favorites when I first heard the album back when I was little, and still one of my favorites off the album now. And now let's get to I Wanna Dance with Somebody, the final song. It's actually the first song on the album, but I'm coming to it last for review. Um, I once read a review that this was a knockoff of the big hit from Whitney's first album, How Will I Know? And I didn't hear that first, but I saw Whitney do a medley of How Will I Know and I Want to Dance with Somebody on YouTube from her concert in Brazil for the Bodyguard soundtrack. And Whitney did a vocal run during How Will I Know that sounded like It Belonged I Want to Dance with Somebody. And then after that, I just couldn't unsee it. Yes, these songs are very similar. I'm not sure which one I think is superior because I haven't gone back and listened to the debut album just yet. I haven't heard that album in like a decade or so maybe even longer than that. But yeah, I really like I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's a great song. Whitney's vocal performance is amazing. She's her vocal performance on this album overall, it just feels more confident and aggressive and self assured. She's doing more with her belts and her growls in this album than I feel that she did with her first album, and I was really surprised by that. I love the call and response, which I Whitney said it in an interview was her idea to come up with that. That's probably the best part of the song. I love that. I love all the high soprano C's she releases all over the song near the climax. I love the key change as well during the climax, during the chorus. It was just really good, very catchy. Um, yeah, this is just a great song. I can see why this was a big hit. If I had to rank my favorite songs off the album, it would probably be I Know Him So Well, You're Still My Man, Just the Lonely Talking Again, So Emotional, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and Love Will Save the Day. So that's 6 songs that are my favorites and I think are really strong. The only weak ones I would say are Where You Are, Love is a Contact Sport, and yeah, I would say those are the only weak ones. Where You Are and Love is a Contact Sport. And so for an album with about 11 tracks on there, for only have 2 weak ones, have 6 really strong ones, and just have 5 good ones, that's really impressive, especially for a sophomore album. So yeah, I give this album high stars, high marks, all that good shit. This album does not deserve the bad ranking that it got at all from the Whitney fan base. The general public doesn't hate this album. This album is one of Whitney's biggest selling. It's her second diamond album. Well, it's the third to reach diamond, but it's the second in her catalog to be diamond. It's the first female album to debut at number 1 the Billboard 100. Sorry, it's the first female album to debut at number 1 the Billboard 200. It's got 4 number 1 singles, which was only one behind Michael Jackson's 5 #1 singles at the time for his Bad album. So that's pretty impressive as well. Let's give Whitney her flowers, golf claps. And then she had a fifth single, Love Will Save the Day, which was top 10. So 5 top 10 singles and 4 of them became #1. That's pretty impressive. So I think the general public loved it. It's just the Whitney fan base and the black community who thought it was too white sounding, too pop, who didn't seem to go for it. But yeah, I love this album. I think it's great. Can't wait to see what else Whitney's got up her sleeve. I'm Kahoko. This has been my PC Pop Culture Musings. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. Thank you and take care. Peace.